preparatory for the days of unleavened bread. The births of the lambs then would be coming up on a year old, so you take your last year's stock of lambs and submit it for the feast harvest. So it doesn't actually mean that you have to then have barley in the head so you can harvest it to make an offering. You do need to wait until the offering is made at the weighed sheaf before you can eat it. So often, some of these things, the fact that there is a historical record of it shouldn't be disposed of, and it's not just opinion of men. It was a procedure, and if Jesus Christ didn't say a word about the calendar, it's more than likely, or I can't see any grounds to assume that it wasn't keeping the full moon following the spring equinox in the sign of Aries, with new growth barley coming up, either very light or very long. So, that's a basic summary as to opinions of men and that type of thing. It would be very nice. God could have put the whole covenant into about 50-page booklet, but He didn't. Why? Because He wants some people to understand at this time, and most people He doesn't. Well, then people will have to complain to Him. I don't see that He's put it clearly enough in Scripture for the start of the year, but I'll have to reword that paper and do a bit more detail on what's meant by the growths of barley, and that Deuteronomy 16 indicates that there has to be barley growing in the Middle East during the time of the change of the year. You will have that often with the first full moon falling after the equinox, but if you were getting into it by 28 and 29 days, it will have already come to a head and be gone, and be well past it by the time the 45th day is, which is the day of Passover, which I would consider a month late. So, and it's way outside the side of Aries. So, this is a long explanation. It was based on just some of the things I've been getting lately, I think, and that's what we're following. And we'll be doing a lot more research this summer, and we'll see. If we come to a different conclusion, it'll be accommodated. But that is the position under which we operated Christian Churches of God for 13 years. That was the doctrine that we brought in as a group unanimously to the formation of the Assembly of Eloah, and it cannot be changed by somebody's statement. It will take 3/4 of the members which have a vote, which includes the 3 Canadians, which are also founding members of AOE. AOE was informed just as an American corporation. It was joint, America and Canada, all of whom will put together the Assembly of Eloah International. So we have a vote. It will take a vote of 3/4 to change doctrine. So we've got the summer to do some work on it, and we'll see what we can come up with. And any information I find that supports what Tom's proposals will be sent to them. And we'll see. Why? We don't want to be breaking God's law and sinning. Sinning because you miss a day, but having a boo-boo or making an accident or whatever reason, well, that's just life. So we want to study it, make sure we're right, but everything I've seen, even though it's historical fact, I think is valid. We'll have to add a better explanation of Deuteronomy and the growth of barley, the loss of some of the primitive plants that did grow at a different rate, certainly very different than some of the modern barleys do. So we have to be very careful with that as well. But as I understand it, and it's fairly simple to me, that virtually everybody can put some posts in their backyard and set up a small sundial that will tell you the day of the equinoxes and the solstices. So that was known anciently, and everybody knew the astronomical cycle because they weren't sitting at home watching TV or playing computer games. They're outside watching the stars. And that's what David was said to be a guide. Why? Because that was their, call it entertainment. So they knew the time frames and the cycles intimately, which we've lost coming out of the Dark Ages. So I think it is the first full moon following the spring equinox in the sign of Aries, and we'll spend the next few months and study it. If we find we're wrong, we'll change. But even we won't change. 3/4 of the voting members of the Assembly of Eloah will affect the change, not 1 or 2. So the three of us aren't going to change anything or force anything. 3/4 of the voting member are required to change this doctrine. Thank you.